Hi everyone, welcome to our introduction to literature video with me Naima and with my partner here Larasati. And today our material is period of American literature, the colonial period. Keep watching. In its day, during the 1600, American literature consisted mostly of practical nonfiction written by British settlers who populated the colonies that would become United States. Okay, Native American literature. The first point, the earliest American literature was composed by Native Americans. The second point, much of Native American literature was passed down orally. And the third, Native American tales were often mythological and or folk tales such as trickster tales. The next slide, explorations literature. Once explorers began to travel to the New World, they chronicled their experience in the form of diaries and letters home. Often, the diaries and letters were propaganda designs to increase settlers' interest in the land. The term Puritaans was applied to two groups of people who believed that 1. They should separate themselves from the corrupt Church of England. 2. The Church of England needed reform. Okay, next slide is Puritan beliefs. First is predestination. Predestination in Christian theology is the doctrine that all events have been willed by God, usually with reference to the eventual fate of individual soul. The second is covenant. Covenant is like a contract or agreement. The first is covenants of works, covenants of grace, and covenant of redemptions. Predestination. Point 1. God has chosen certain few of the elect for salvation. Second, unlike other Christians, they believe faith alone was not enough. And the third, whether or not you were saved could be determined by your behavior. If you act in a holy manner, it was assumed you were saved. Okay, in Covenant of Works, point 1, God promised Adam and his progeny eternal life if they obey moral law. The second, Adam broke this covenant. Okay, in the second covenant, covenant of grace, first point, once Adam broke the covenant with God, he created a new covenant with Abraham. The second, punishment for sins is considered a proper response to disobedience. Okay, this is the last covenant, covenant of redemptions. First point, Puritans believed that Jesus freely offered himself as a sacrifice on behalf of all people. The second, God must accept Jesus' sacrifice as a representative for all people.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Larasati as the second oral speaker. Well, I am going to continue our material, period of American literature, the colonial period. What is the Puritan did? Established settlement in Massachusetts, including Vermont and Boston. Influenced American system of laws and morals. Wrote in plain style, writing unadorned with figurative language. Next, Salem witch trials. In 1692, Salem experienced the witch crop hysteria. which has been plaguing Europe for some time. Before the Salvage trial ended, 185 people would be accused of the sin of witchcraft. Of those accused, 20 were executed. Arthur Miller read an account of the trial called the Crucible. This is one of the most famous of hysteria cases in colonial America. It has been used in the literature of political and popular rhetoric as warning tale of the dangers of isolationism, religion's extreme, false accusation, and perversion in the motoring process. Here we can see some Puritan literature. In the histories, William Bradford of Laymount, Precantation, Poetry, and Bastard and Edward Taylor. In the sermon, Jonathan Edwards, biographies, Maria Rowlandson, kidnapping account. In the church, increased murder, count matter. The Scarlet Letter, written by Nathaniel Hawthorne, published in 1850. Hawthorne descended from Salem witch trial. Judge John Hawthorne ed. W. for clarification on pronunciation. Essence of goal over the actions of his ancestor compelled him to write many times on Puritan themes. The Scarlet Letter is set in the mid-1600s during the Puritan era in Boston. I think that's all. Thank you very much and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.